Marino World Weekend. I am Lynn Bacani. Here are our top stories. Agencies appeal to prioritize seafarers on COVID vaccine. Suezcanal resumes operation after ever-given referral fee. BPA remits 3.5 billion pesos to support COVID response. Duterte appoints new STCW chief. And now for the details. The Joint Manning Group or JMG and the Association of Licensed Manning Agencies or ALMA Maritime Group have asked the government to place the seafarers on top of the COVID-19 vaccine priority list.
Okay, thank you.
Of the 14th regular meeting of the House Committee on Overseas Workers Affairs, the groups warned that the country's competitors are already vaccinating their seafarers for free at no cost to the employers.
Mr. Chair, again,
ships move 95% of the world cargo. So even with the pandemic, ang industry po ng barko ay tuloy-tuloy. At kung medyo bumagal lang po ang deployment dahilan sa nagkaroon ng lockdown at hindi lamang sa Pilipinas, kung hindi pati na rin sa buong mundo. Hanggang ngayon po medyo nagkakandara pa kami sa change crew, although kahit papano medyo gumanda-ganda na yung sitwasyon. But the ships have been continuing and that's why this industry is continuous, non-stop. Okay, now vaccines against COVID-19 are already available worldwide. At ito po ang medyo nakakabahala. Because our competitors, China, Indonesia, Vietnam, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka have already given priority to their seafarers. Binabakunahan na po sila. And so, sooner or later, vaccination may also be required to our own seafarers. However, it is noted that cruise operators are already requiring this because they plan, as I mentioned earlier, to start their operations by second quarter of this year. And all passengers and all crew members, both for the hotel and for the traditional seafarers, are required to have vaccination. So these are our requests. We're asking for an A1 prioritization. I know it's a bit sounds too much, but it's really for the good of the industry. And the A1 will mean vaccination for all seafarers.
The Philippines is not the only seafaring state in the world. Other countries have developed their seafaring profession so much so that they can well compete with Filipino seafarers. There will be less preference for Filipino seafarers if compared with other nationals that have already received vaccination, such as the Russians, Singaporeans, Chinese, or Indians. For the above cited nationalities, Your Honors, their governments have recognized the importance of vaccinating their key workers for free at no cost to the industry. And not all principals are willing or able to spend for such vaccines and would rather employ other nationalities. The issue here, Mr. Chair, is the employability of the Filipino seafarer, which is related to the job generation mandate of the government. So, Mr. Chair, the industry is actually asking for the government's help. It's our plea to our government to do the same for our Filipino seafarers, who continuously contribute largely to our economy, notwithstanding the risk involved and the sacrifices they endure during this pandemic.
Meanwhile, Health Secretary Francisco Duque III has vowed to level up the overseas Filipino workers, including seafarers, on the government's COVID-19 vaccination priority list from B5 or 10th place to A4 or 6th place. Moreover, the Secretary said he will suggest that OFWs serving as healthcare workers should be included in the A1 category, OFWs who are senior citizens in the A2 category, and OFWs with comorbidities in the A3 categories.
Ako po mismo ang mangangatawan sa Interagency Task Force na iangat po ang estado dito po sa atin prioritization framework mula po sa B6 ay taas po sa A4. So pag akin po pangangatawan nito, kasama ko po ang NEDA si Yusek Rose Edelion, na kanina po kami nagpulong din bago po itong pagpupulong, at siya po ay sumang-ayon na dapat iangat po natin ang kategorya ng ating pong OFWs from B6 all the way up to A4. At hindi lang po yun. Amin din po napagkasunduan kanina na lahat po ng OFWs na makakasama sa healthcare worker A1 priority, isasama din po natin sila. Yung po mga OFWs na senior citizens, isasama po natin sila sa A2. At ganoon din po, yung OFWs naman may comorbidities, isasama din po natin sila sa A3. So, yung the rest, papasok din po natin sa A4.
Navigation in the Suez Canal is back in both directions immediately upon successfully refloating the grounding vessel Ever Given. Now, the Suez Canal is operating in full capacity and around the clock. This was announced by the Suez Canal Authority or SCA on April 1st. The navigation of the Suez Canal was suspended since March 25th when container vessel Ever Given ran aground at the 151-kilometer area canal marking on March 23rd. Hundreds of ships jumped, which caused global supply chains into disarray. Ever Given has overall length of 399.94 meters, width of 59 meters, has a carrying capacity of 20,000 TEUs, and is sailing under the flag of Panama. The Suez Canal is an artificial sea-level waterway in Egypt, connecting the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea through the Isthmus of Suez and dividing Africa and Asia. Navigation in the Suez Canal is said to be the shortest shipping route between Asia and Europe. Investigation on the grounding of container ship Ever Given in the Suez Canal continues. Investigators boarded the vessel on March 30 to assess the damage and find out what caused the grounding. The Panama Maritime Authority earlier has stated that its preliminary report indicated that the Panama-flagged Ever Given experienced strong wind and sandstorm and suffered machine problems while transiting through the Suez Canal at around 5:40 in the morning of March 23rd. International Chamber of Shipping Secretary General Guy Platten said they expect the results of the full investigation be made public to ensure vital lessons are learned. ICS estimates that 12% of the global trade passed through in Suez Canal with more than 1 billion tons of goods every year. Meanwhile, a seasoned Filipino captain questioned if the formula of squat effect was posted on the bridge and whether the mandated system was observed on board. He asked whether human error can be invoked, a part of the system or a policy in insurance. He said if Ever Given was pushed and cannot be controlled by strong underwater current or wind, such is an act of God. However, he clarified that his observation is without malice of faulting anybody nor the company, but to share to those who forget the importance of prudence and dedication of adherence to the system. Up next, PPA remits 3.5 billion pesos to support COVID-19 response. Duterte appoints new STCW chief.
At a time when the world stopped, ships kept moving. People still shopped, ships kept on proving the volume of trade that's moved by sea, 90% of trade, actually. Crops that are weighed, cars that are sprayed, and it's easy to see the impact this makes. Fruit and vegetables, toys and collectibles, wheats and grains, the blood in the veins. Like to land a farmer is, ships are to the sea. And if the world is the heart, ships are the arteries, which stock the pharmacies, move essential commodities. So there's a lot at stake across these seas. Without these routes, half the world would starve, while the other half would freeze. Without these bright-coloured containers, the four walls in our house that contain us would be empty. The books we read, the animal feed, the oil we need, the global lives that we lead. No oil, no cars, no essential spare parts. The sea's version of stars, those flickering lights on the horizon. By moon and by sun, but the journey is never done. As a supertanker proves, the distance it moves is equivalent to 3 times around this Earth a year. And we are served by over 61,000 ships. The things we buy, the things that shops sell, the 1.7 million seafarers, it's more than just engines that propel this industry. And it's easy to see that a lot is owed to the people that load. 6,000 ports worldwide, but it's not all plain sailing. It's rough seas and piracy warnings and the change that this inevitably causes. The sea covers 70% of our planet, so you can see why we need to plan it. A global community of knowledge and passion. From salt and sugar to the latest fashion, our ships keep moving products we love using. Ships make the world go. They help trade flow and let business grow.
Maritime Lawyers Association of the Philippines, or Marlo, joins the call to look into ivermectin for possible treatment and prevention of COVID-19. 16 national associations may availability and easy access to people. The Associated Marine Officers and Seamen's Union of the Philippines, or amosup, has asked the government to approve more COVID-19 vaccines for the private companies to be able to procure more. Nonetheless, amosup President Conrad Aka thanked the Department of Health for providing amosup Seamen's hospitals free vaccines for their health workers.
Yeah, I think it's a supply problem. That's the problem. And I hope that you allow the private companies really to procure and acquire vaccines, because as I would like to reiterate Mr. Cato's statements that there are a lot of shipping companies, not only cruise ship companies, but other shipping companies as well, who are willing to subsidize or give the vaccines for free to their seafarers. I understand the FDA is under the Department of Health also, Mr. Secretary. So I hope the FDA approves more vaccines for emergency use applications so that we can acquire more vaccines for our people, for everybody.
To date, the Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, has issued emergency use authorizations to the Pfizer-BioNTech, Oxford-AstraZeneca, Sinovac COVID-19 vaccines, and Gamaleya Sputnik V. On the procurement of COVID-19 vaccines, Health Secretary Francisco Duque III explained the private companies should abide with the Republic Act 11525 or the COVID-19 Vaccination Program Act of 2021.
Hindi naman po, meron na tayong model, yung tripartite MOA, the shipping company owners or management can opt to actually buy vaccines, but that it has to abide by the provision of the Vaccination and Procurement Act of 11525, where the importation of such vaccines or procurement will have to be done together with the national government and the vaccine manufacturing company. So the model is already there, the process is there. All they need to do is to link up with Secretary Galvez, who heads the NTF, the National Task Force, and the vaccine cluster.
The Philippine Ports Authority or PPA has remitted 3.54 billion pesos in dividends to the Bureau of Treasury for 2020, a 6% more than the required amount under the law. Government-owned and controlled corporations or GOCCs are mandated under the Republic Act No. 7656 or the Dividend Law to declare and remit to the national government at least 50% of their net income as dividends. PPA General Manager J. Daniel Santiago said the PPA board has approved the initiative to give 56% of its net income for 2020 to the national coffers to assist the government in its COVID-19 response. Since 2016, PPA has been consistent as the top-performing DOTR agency and was able to remit a total of 17.171 billion pesos in dividends to help in the implementation of various government social and health programs. PPA also posted a total of 14.87 billion pesos in income tax to the Bureau of Internal Revenue since 2016, with the biggest tax paid recorded in 2018 at a total of 5.90 billion pesos. President Rodrigo Duterte Tonight on Maritime Viewpoints, Ms. Maylene Borillo, OSM Maritime Philippines President, shares her company's best practices amidst the pandemic. Thank you for watching Marino World Weekend. See you again next Saturday for more maritime news.